This is a special event. It is the Heisman Trophy of defense. It is the award that gives back to a side of the ball that doesn't get as much glory. Thank you, Charlotte.
What a high level of excellence Bronco Nagurski brought to the game. He's an inspiration to anyone who loves the game of football.
My football story is not about playing for the Carolina Panthers. My football story is from the time I was 5 years old. All I ever wanted to do was play for Wayne Hills High School in northern New Jersey.
I was a part of something, and the purpose of what we were working for was greater than any one of us.
We come out every day to compete, and the only way we can get better is we, compete against each other hard.
It's important to note that sometimes the signs that we ask for are right there in front of us. Win or lose, there was always a message in there. It's about what we do with the adversity we face.
You can have a dream, but you better be prepared for that opportunity.
I want to thank you all once again for the millions of dollars that you have contributed. And I know while the focus of the Charlotte Touchdown Club might be football, the money that you provide enables multiple sports to benefit.
It's a lot of hard work. I mean, nothing is given. I mean, you have to earn everything.
Honored to be here today. You do such wonderful work. The funds you raise for scholarships around the area, that's wonderful.
A very heartfelt thank you to members of the Touchdown Club for your support of 16,000 plus students who you all are impacting annually. Studies show that GPAs and graduation rates are higher, absences and dropout rates are lower.
What I've learned in my life is you can accomplish anything in this world. If you want to do something bad enough, you'll find a way.
But it's important that everybody in this room and beyond understands that it starts with us. You see these kids on the come up, you gotta let them know.
Football was a gladiator sport. Only gladiators play football.
Tonight, you are going to get a glimpse of excellence of our finalists and what they have brought to this game. Their dedication, passion, and brute strength, along with their ability to make key plays during crucial moments in big games.
I believe that football is the greatest game that there is. It's the only game where people of all sizes, of all shapes, of all different talent levels can come together. And everyone have to execute their job. And I believe young people should play it. I believe it builds character. It teaches us how to sacrifice and be humble.
Life is all about when you get punched in the gut, finding a way to get up and dust yourself off and get back in the ring and just keep swinging, son. Just keep swinging.
Be here, be back in North Carolina, see all you Wolfpackers and all you others again. What you do with this organization, with John and so many that contribute, it really is awesome. Because as we all know, sports, it may be more important now than it's ever been. These high schools and what it's doing to help facilitate and bring joy and some discipline and virtue. It's awesome.
And I think football is a lens and a window to our world, to our society when it comes to team. When you talk about together, everybody achieves more. There's nothing on that football field that's of accomplishment without the work of 10 other men.
Actually came in a couple years and worked at Rock Hill.
Learn a different discipline with each sport that you play, or different disciplines. You also get a chance to be around different kids with each sport, so you become more of a social chameleon.
Believe in you, believe in who you are and what you are, and it's a lot easier to make those decisions. And don't be afraid of the adversity. Sometimes the adversity is exactly what you need in order to succeed.
Football Writers Association of America and the Charlotte Touchdown Club are proud to present the 2020 Bronco Nagurski Trophy to Zaven Collins from the University of Tulsa.
Thank you to the Football Writers Association for presenting me this trophy and selecting me to be the Nagurski winner. Thank you to the Charlotte Touchdown Club and Lending Tree for entrusting with me and putting my name on the trophy. It really means a lot to me.
Growing up around the game, I have a deep and abiding respect for those who have paved the way. Bronco Nagurski was a true pioneer of our game.
All right, let's get going. Charlotte Touchdown Club. How you all doing today? My name is Jim Zoki from WBT, and the Carolina Panthers Radio Network. Appreciate y'all being here on a Friday for our event today with Chris Berman from ESPN, legendary broadcaster. We'll be hearing from the Swami Boomer coming up in just a little bit here. Thanks to our sponsors today, the Charlotte Checkers, who are in action tonight. And you can see them at Bojangles Coliseum against the Hershey Bears as they continue their season, of course, tonight. Thanks to our radio stations, WBT and WFNZ, for being here, and our media partners, as always, and for you guys being here as well, and our 70 Gridiron and Super Bowl and Pro Bowl sponsors as well. Don't forget, reserve your seats. Coming up December 5th, we got the Bronco Nagurski Awards Banquet, and that'll be presented by Sentinel Risk Advisors and Springs Creative. The finalists for this year's Bronco Nagurski Trophy will be announced November 17th. We've got NC State head coach Dave Doran, who'll be slated as the keynote speaker. The Bronco Nagurski Awards, presented by 1980 Pittsburgh defensive end Hugh Green, will be getting the Legends Award. And of course, the Defender of the Nation Award recipient, October 27th. And that's presented by Capital Group of Companies and America's Patriotic Dealerships as well. We've got lunch. We've got, as always, raffle stuff we'll be giving away in just a little bit, featuring Chris Berman. Right now, let's introduce to the stage the invocation with Shannon Powell, life coach and campus director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at Wingate University. Shannon.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Touchdown Club. Thank you, John Rocco, for the privilege to be able to deliver the invocation at today's luncheon and gathering. I would like to ask if you would please bow your head and pray with me as we begin. So, dear gracious Heavenly Father, the psalmist reminds us in Psalm 118 that this is the day that the Lord has made. So let us rejoice and be glad in it. Lord, we pray that this change in season will bring us a change in our perspective. Teach us, Lord, that this day is a gift, and with it comes limitless opportunities to use the gifts you have so graciously given us to bring glory back to you. Lord, for our meal today, we ask your blessings. May it be a nourishment to our bodies. We ask that you would bless the hands that prepared this food and also the ones that are serving us even now, Lord. Father, we seek your blessing over our fellowship together. May you bless every participant, every staff member, every coordinator, and every sponsor and special guest that made today's event possible. Lord, let us not forget that you have made us a great nation. And even as we celebrate our freedoms in this country, which we so deeply love, Lord, we beg, Father, we beg for your hand of protection to guard not only our land, but those who so willingly lay down their lives on the line each and every day to protect her. For the sake of their sacrifice, may we truly aspire to become one nation under God. And for our speaker, Chris Berman, I petition you, Lord, from the prayer found in Psalm 19, that the words of his mouth and the meditation of his heart today may be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. We pray these things in the precious name of the Father and of Christ the Son and the Holy Ghost. Amen and amen.
All right, time for lunch. We'll get back going in about 25 minutes or so. Get your raffle tickets ready. Remember, silent auction items out in the hallway for your bidding up until the last minute, too. want to be just down here because they're going to come up. So just be right up front here. We'll get them out. All right, crew, we're going to get going back here once again, get you off to where you need to be afterwards as well. And again, I want to thank all of our sponsors, the more than 70 Touchdown Club sponsor team members highlighted on the video screens behind us here. And the Touchdown Club would like to thank Crown Sports Sales and Riddell for their support of today's auction. So if you've got your red raffle tickets, we've got 4 items to give away. And we've never had anything quite like this first one before. Ben's going to hand these out to you when you come up with your number. This is an actual Swami turban autographed by Chris Berman. Swami. Where's the number on this thing? Oh, these are really small. This is going to be great. I might have Ben read this to me. 528-0180. 528, I'm holding it this far away, 0180. If you have that, come up and claim your turban. Come on up, sir. Congratulations. Let's hear it for our winner. Nobody else has an autographed turban. You can't get that anywhere, right, Chris? Am I right? No, Chris says, nor should you be able to get that anywhere. Appreciate Chris being here today. Next up, and these are all Chris Berman items, of course. This is a football autographed by the great Boomer, and the number on this one is 527-9904. 527-9904. Anybody got it? Hopefully. 527-9904. Going once? Anybody? Got it, Mac? Okay, come on up. Let's hear it for our football winner. Yeah, congratulations. The Raiders. I'm just going to impersonate Chris until he gets up here to do it himself. It's the warm-up act before the main event. Next up, we'll just keep it rolling here, is a mini helmet autographed by Chris. Winning number will be 528-0033. 528-0033. Anybody got that one? Right here, come on up. Let's hear it. One of our first responders. Love it. One more to go. It's the Bronco Nagurski autographed commemorative football. Of course, that is coming up. Bronco Nagurski Awards on December the 5th. I'm sure we'll see you here for that one. 2021 Nagurski autographed commemorative football. Winning number shall be, once his eyes focus again, 528-0175. 528-0175. Congratulations. All right, come on up. Thank you all. Good stuff. And a reminder, as you saw up front, obviously, as always, the great auction items for the Charlotte Touchdown Club Scholarship Fund. So you want to make sure you get your bids in for that. And now the centerpiece giveaway. This is where chaos ensues, of course. So there's one winner at each table. The winner of the centerpiece giveaway is the autographed centerpiece helmet, mini helmet at the person at each table. It's a sticker that says, "You are the winner," located on the back of the Chris Berman autograph card. So look at your Chris Berman autograph card. Unless you are Chris Berman, then you just are Chris Berman. It's the sticker that says, "You are the winner." You're the winner of the centerpiece, either mini helmet or football at your table. I was kind of hoping Chris Berman would win at his table. At tables where there's not a lot of people, you have multiple chances to win. And guys, let's thank as well our middle and high school coaches, athletic directors, and administrators we have here today. And also, as we always do, if we could please stand and let's thank our U.S. military heroes and our first responders in attendance today. If we can thank them and with your applause, we appreciate you all for being here today. So I feel like Chris Berman is someone we just all know. We've welcomed him into our home for decades and decades, so I'm not going to say much. Of course, we have a video, but ESPN anchor since 1979. He started at ESPN 1 month after they launched in 1979. You know his work from decades at SportsCenter, NFL Countdown, NFL Primetime, U.S. Open coverage, Major League Baseball, of course, the Home Run Derby, famous for the calls, NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Chris, one of the things that stands out to me, I think it was at this training camp this year, you walked into a Patriots press conference, and Bill Belichick stopped and smiled and clapped for you. Nobody on the planet Earth would Bill Belichick do that for, I don't think. Then maybe him and Tom Brady. That might be about it. They're probably not even Brady anymore at this point. And oh, by the way, 6-time National Sportscaster of the Year. On your video screen, let's take you back at some of the highlights of the great Chris Berman.
I can't tell you how many Sunday mornings have started right here. I'm in my car, I got my thoughts, a little quiet time. Well, kind of quiet.
They drove for miles and miles on those twisting, turning roads.
Let's go right to the highlights.
Kansas City. Higher and higher and higher they climb.
Let's go, let's have some fun.
And away we go.
I love sports.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling.
The job.
ESPN is in your face.
My ESPN family can only be truly understood if you go back.
What he really did was make you get in the moment.
I don't think anybody could have scripted it any better.
38 years, thousands of shows, countless memories.
Super Bowl for the Niners.
Like a script from a Hollywood night.
I'm the Swami. The frozen tundra
of Lambeau Field.
Tommy, can't you handle this here?
Chris Berman changed TV. It's that simple. You started the joint. You can do whatever you want.
Marshall.
Of course. Chris Berman was a part of your football life.
You want Bedlam? We got Bedlam here.
He could go all the way.
He's right here, ladies and gentlemen, the great Chris Berman.
It's always good to hear Bob Seger on a luncheon. Isn't it? Come on, it's Bob Seger. So usually you get about 800-900 folks here. Thanks for putting me on billboards around town. You got 600 today. So, by the way, it's the first luncheon I've ever been to where you have salad, then cake, then the chicken. I thought that was, I know, Charlotte, is that a Charlotte thing? I mean, I don't know. So, the Panthers are going to the Super Bowl. Wait a minute, it's my 2015 speech. That was right then. I mean, and I can't believe I show up in this Panthers news. I will say this, and then we'll move on because, I mean, it's Christian McCaffrey, who is a civic treasure, right? And we all wish he could have played every game healthy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the Panthers did a classy thing by sending him to a team, A, home, B, a real big contender. It's almost like a thank you rather than, hey, we got a deal of, what do they get, a 3, 4, 5, 6? Sounds like Lawrence Welk. If you laughed, you're old. Can't believe I know who Lawrence Welk was. At any rate, we could have held out for something a little more and gotten them from a team going nowhere, right? So I thought the Panthers did a classy thing. I thought that, I mean, if they don't screw up the draft picks, and again, it's 3, 4, 5, and 6, this isn't 2 1s. Moving forward, if you look at the Bengals, you look at the Jets, I grew up a Jet fan. I get it. All of a sudden, a lot of draft picks, they hit on them. And the Bengals went to the Super Bowl after being a laughingstock. So be patient with your Panthers. I know Coach Rule tried his best. I never met him. I will say this. I did read a story locally that he never lost the locker room, and that's to his credit. Obviously, without Mayfield being what we thought he would, or Sam Darnold being what we thought he would, or playing, or maybe Jake Daylight coming. You got a Delhomes around him. We can get him back. That was one of my favorites, by the way, and Jake loved it. Maybe we'll see. They played hard last week. I mean, they just don't have it much. So I think they did okay. They did all right by Christian, who he certainly never was a guy that would badmouth anything, right? So you know him better than me. So now you got use your running back, Chuba Hubbard, the Chuba Missile Crisis. So you can laugh. Go ahead. The only thing I would say about Coach Rule, and he did spend some time in the NFL, so this is not really accurate. And again, I'm not trying to make fun of a bad situation. Nobody wants teams to lose all the time. There's a long list of college coaches that come to the NFL, and this is professional football, I mean, Urban Meyer, how did that go? This is Bobby Petrino, how did that go? I mean, we could go on and on. So it's a tough transition. I mean, they're only human. They're trying to do their best. And hopefully the Panthers will, for you guys' sake, will get back on the right path. 2015, you guys were 17-2. That's not that long ago, right? 2003, I really liked that team. That was one of the best Super Bowls that nobody talks about. Not because it wasn't any good. I had to refresh my memory. I said, boy, didn't each team score two touchdowns in the fourth quarter? No, each team scored 3 times in the fourth quarter with Adam Vinatieri kicking a field goal at the end. But wasn't it the pass to Ricky Prohl like really late, like under the 2-minute warning, right? Ricky Prohl shampoo. And then the Patriots. It was one of the best Super Bowls that I can remember. So I got a real interesting story about the very beginning of the Panthers, which I'm going to save to the end. It just kind of, by coming here, it reminded me that I don't tell it very much, but I think you'll find it interesting. But we'll move on. You didn't hear me talk about you didn't want me. And you knocked out the defending champion Dallas Cowboys in '96. In between those years, so. Although Bill Polian, my good friend, I'll leave the one other Panther note, because, I don't really think about this that much. I remember when he drafted Tim Biakabatuka, right? One of the great names of all time. And, of course, at that time, we had Christian Okoye, the Nigerian nightmare, was playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I said, Bill, I think I'm going to call him the Zairian Zip, because he was from Zaire. He goes, I love it. So we move on. Because I could do an hour and a half, but people have real lives to take care of here shortly. So you saw in the video that 43 years ago, on October 1st, I started at ESPN, and they were 1 month in existence. It's too late for them to get rid of me now. They screwed up a long time ago. It's kind of hard to believe. Like I said, anybody under 40 will find, or certainly under 35 will find some of this, like, you're not going to understand what I say. But I like to educate our youth. So, how did ESPN get started? Let me make it a microcosm. A guy named Bill Rasmussen turned 90, I think, this past week. I owe him a call. I call him our George Washington. Had this idea to do cable TV sports in Connecticut. Which, cable TV, late 70s, this is what I want to tell you young ones, to put it in proper perspective. Cable TV in the late 70s, what was it? You had an antenna. You had 4 stations or 5, depending on where you lived. Maybe 6, maybe 3. And you had the circular thing, the UHF thing, right? If you turned it the right way, you could get, Spartanburg, South Carolina or something. But cable TV came, and they essentially wanted you to spend $20 a month to have this box to get 36 channels. That was cable TV in those days. Well, why would you spend $20? What do we spend on TV a month now? Don't answer. $20 a month? Well, I got to work, I got to sleep, I got to eat. There were no tape, VHS, or whatever machines. Why would I want 5 stations? I can only watch one, and then I go to work, and then this and then that. So cable TV was really fledgling. So this fellow named Bill Rasmussen had this idea. Connecticut had some cable systems. I'm not really sure why, but we did. And he's going to put University of Connecticut sports, football, please, basketball, pre-Big East, but okay. And that was his idea. Nobody knew how to do it. We got to go down to RCA, exit whatever the hell it is off the New Jersey Turnpike. And they're all exits in New Jersey. And those of you from New Jersey understand what I just said. And he went to see RCA on a Friday afternoon. RCA explained, we have a satellite up there. The signal goes up, and then it comes back down 2/5 of a second later. And there are plenty of spots available. It's about $35,000 a month. And it's yours. Nobody can come outbid you. If you pay it every month, it's your spot. And Bill went, $35,000 I don't have. That's not even close to what I guess it was a great idea, but it's not going to work. And they said, well, wait a minute. Not being salesmen, they were just saying, but one thing you haven't considered is that your vision is to be in Connecticut with this station. For the same amount of money, $35,000, you can go to all 50 states. And it wasn't quite, again, dating myself. I am old. Beverly Hillbillies with oil in the backyard. But it was okay. All 50 states, huh? Do I have a couple of months to get the first couple of payments together? Yes, you do. And he had bought land in Bristol, Connecticut. I mean, I'm paraphrasing some of this story, but that's how we began. Kind of an accident. Went looking for one state, got 50 states. And so we went on the air in 1979, about 75 of us. We had no clue, none. But we were on, and we didn't know where we were being seen. They tell us 3 million homes. A lot of those sets were off, but this, as they should have been. But that's what ESPN was at the start. They hired me. I had been in radio and then on TV in Hartford for 3 months, so that hardly made me an established veteran. I had pretty good long hair. I wish I'd saved some. I had a good late 70s mustache. Kind of Ron Burgundy looking, And they said, well, you're going to be perfect. You're going to be our junior member. You're going to do the late show. Well, how late? About 2:30, because that's 11:30 on the West Coast. I'm going to pay you $16,000. I thought I died and gone to heaven. I think I was making 10. Who cared? I mean, we get to do sports every night on TV. Admittedly, 2:30 in the morning, and then you get out to your car in Connecticut in January. Not the best. But there was an opportunity for all of us, and we were young, and cable was brand new, and no one knew where it was going. People went, who's going to watch sports for 20? We're on 24 hours. Who's going to watch sports for 24 hours a day? Well, nobody. But if you're on the West Coast and you're in the bar business, restaurant business, I know some of our sponsors are, and you're getting home at 11. Well, that's 2 Eastern. You're watching our show. We didn't know this. There are people, there's fathers feeding babies. I got letters from. I went, why the hell would you get up at 3 in the morning to feed a baby? I didn't know anything about it. So I soon found out, but I get letters from Iowa. Thank God you're on. Give me something to do. And little by little, we got a foothold. I'm just going to give you a couple of stories because you won't believe it from the early days, all right? Our studio used to have a door was ajar because we had wires going out the back. We didn't really have a control room ready to go. And apparently in November, a skunk came in at some point. And, when skunks don't like where they are, they do what they do, right? So this skunk thought the programming was terrible and did what it did. And have you ever had a skunk in your garage? You open the window or the door, you think the smell leaves? I don't think so. Do you have skunks here? You do, right? So for 2 weeks, we did shows like gagging. It was like chloroform. That did happen. My favorite early story, and then I'll move on to some stuff, is we used to have college football on tape. It wasn't live. We weren't allowed to. And so we had 5 games a week. The first game aired at like midnight, be Ohio State and Michigan. I'm making it up. And they would air at midnight Saturday night. And then there was no Sunday night football then, so the next game would be, again, I'm making it up, UCLA and USC. That would be Sunday at 9 o'clock. And then there was Monday night football, so Tuesday would be like the C game, and that might be North Carolina against North Carolina State, be at Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And then on Thursday at like 7 o'clock, we had the D game, which would be like, Bowling Green against Miami of Ohio, somebody like that. And then the E game, which would run Friday night at like 10 o'clock, even though it happened 6 days earlier, would be Heidelberg and Muhlenberg. They play every week, so I figured I'd throw them out there. So I'm the only guy on, or sportscaster on, guy or girl, lady. At 10:30, the call comes up from the tape room. Chris? Yeah, Ray. What's up, Ray? Oh, what do you mean, oh? Oh, it's a disaster down here. What's the matter? Is somebody hurt? No. Is there a fire? No, worse. What is it? Well, I don't know how to tell you this. We went from the first reel of this game, and we went to like a commercial, which back then was PSAs, Gregory Peck telling you to turn the lights off, Ginzu knives, and Amazoizia lawn care. Those were kind of our early things. We did sneak Budweiser in there a little bit, but that we needed it anyway. But on the air. But I said, well, and then, yeah. He goes, well, we went to reel 6, from 1 to 6. I said, well, when did this happen? About 15 minutes ago. I said, nobody knew? Well, we're busy. I said, well, what do you want me to do about it? Well, we can't. The game's going to end in like 10 minutes. It's scheduled for 3 hours. Like you got to get on and say something. Well, what would you? I don't know, but you got to get on. So I got on. The hair and went running down and said, well, ladies, I didn't know what the hell to say. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, blah, blah, blah. We made a little, you haven't been Rip Van Winkle. You didn't fall asleep for 20 years. We know we went from early in the game to late in the game. So even though and I know the score is now Heidelberg 35, Muhlenberg 32, we return you to action late in the first quarter with the score Heidelberg 3, Muhlenberg nothing. Those 6 touchdowns, they never happened. So, and then the show went on for 2 hours. So look, we weren't slapstick, but I mean, we were rebels without a clue and proud of it. So that's kind of my best early stuff. I did billiards, I did bowling, I did do Minnesota Fats against Willie Moscone once. Now that's billiards, right? I mean, we had 21 shows in a tuxedo in 4 days. That tuxedo was stiff as a board by day 4. It was brutal. And I announced darts once. Don't laugh. Actually, go ahead and laugh. I had a color man. I said, well, I don't know anything about darts. What are we doing here? Well, we're in this ballroom like this, although it was in New York. It was huge. And why don't you go watch some of the early matches? We're only going to do the quarterfinals or whatever, and then on and on. But you really want to watch this guy named Eamon Maguire, making it up. But Irish is a good guess. So you want to watch him at 9 o'clock. And he's there throwing, and he can't hit anything. This is freaking darts, okay? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but, might hit the chandelier, might go into the drape. I said, this is the guy that I got to watch? And then, honestly, this part's true. He reaches down below the table after a disastrous first, whatever they call it, hand. And he takes out a highball and pours very dark liquid in it, and it was not a Diet Coke. And just throws it back. It's 9:05, okay? And does the stagger. And then his next round was like 6 bullseyes. And I said to myself, here's an athlete. So the moral of this story is that even though we might laugh about darts even, it was legitimate competition and it was okay. Like it was, what do you expect us to have on? Well, we had the NFL draft, we had college basketball in the middle of the week, which nobody had, and we had a show called SportsCenter, which we're pretty proud of. Because half-hour sports news, Walter Cronkite did a half an hour of news. But this is how we grew. And then I'm jumping around a little bit because I know, we got some things to get to. We're going to have some Q&A, and I got a couple things I want to say at the end, although I just started. So 1987, that's 8 years in, we were growing and growing and growing. ESPN got the rights to do NFL football. Now, 8 years in, that's not supposed to happen. Pete Rozelle, one of the smartest guys I ever met, and certainly one of the more visionary people I ever met. For whatever reason, he liked me. I was a young man, and he liked me, commissioner for 30 years. He and ESPN made a deal to do 8 Sunday night football games, and then Steve Bornstein, who was then our director of programming, vice president of it, and became our president for a long time, they invented a show called NFL Primetime, which hopefully some of you have enjoyed through the years and may still be enjoying. I know I have, so the hell with you if you don't enjoy it. But I'm kidding. Which was a 1-hour show to show all the games. You only got 3 in your market. And whether I did it or Attila the Hun did it with Tom Jackson, one of my best friends, it was personally the most fun I've ever had. I mean, over a long period of time. And ESPN, in the bigger picture, got NFL football. So any of us that have been there only 8 years, right? This is the era of startups and stuff. Only 8 years, we're going to make it. We actually are going to make it. And I'm not trying to do this as a company rah-rah. I'm still, 32 at that time? No kidding. So we're going to make it. And so with that, we always called ourselves the Mercury astronauts. And there's a tie-in to what I'm going to tell you at the end anyway. We were just hoping, to land in the ocean when we orbited the Earth, And now we had landed on the moon. And so the ESPN you see today was a direct result of 87. The NFL took a chance with us. So what happened is cable, as you know, went like this in the 80s. We rode cable's coattails and cable rode ours. And we were 79, CNN was 80, and MTV, when they were really MTV, was 82. So all of a sudden, by the late 80s, you're traveling to Charlotte, to Bangor, to Biloxi, Mississippi, to Seattle. Pick your location. Your hometown stations, ESPN, CNN, MTV was in your hotel. Nobody imagined it would grow like this in 10 years. So at any rate, I think we went from 70 to 7,000 employees at one time. ESPN 2 didn't start till 93, but it was a kind of an amazing journey that for some reason they allowed me to be on from the start, and we're proud to have put a part of the cornerstone in Bristol, Connecticut, which is now like a college campus. I've been fortunate enough to see many memorable moments. I don't really, it's not so much me, but who dreamt at 24? We all have dreams, right, when we're young. I think I've been to 40 Super Bowls now, and some of these finishes, like the one we just talked about with Vinatieri and all of his kicks, and the comeback by New England then, and the Giants upsetting the soon-to-be perfect but never would be 19-0 Patriots. I mean, those are all recently. One of North Carolina's finest, Madison Bumgarner, his performance in Game 7 of the World Series for the Giants in 2014. I mean, this is all recent stuff. Cubs actually winning the World Series, the Red Sox winning the World Series. There are a couple of things that happened in San Francisco that I'll never forget. One was being in the stands during the earthquake. That was an interesting evening. It was the '89 World Series. We were in the upper deck. And driving back into the city that night after we were on the air because we had a generator. Somehow we were late to the party and forgot to get organized, and it was the best mistake we ever made. Bob Lee was great. We were on the air for like 3-4 hours, and driving back into town, there was nothing on. Flares on the highway. Imagine what London was like during the bombing, you know. And then there was, then there was the catch, which you've seen that, you saw that here. That was very early in my career. And Carolina area's finest, Dwight Clark from Joe Montana, and who knew that would start the 49ers to 15 years of brilliance. And I was on the sidelines and I saw it. And I'm happy to bring that up because his younger brother, we lost Dwight 4 years ago to ALS. One of my really good friends, and his younger brother Jeff and his wife Deborah are here, and they're going to be, their ALS walk tomorrow. So if you have a chance to kind of help them out. The NFL Primetime was working with Tom Jackson for 29, 30 years, and now Booger, son of Tom. I love Booger. Hopefully you still watch us on ESPN Plus. I don't get money if you sign up, so don't worry about it. But it's a fun show, and you can watch it for a few days. But Tommy and I doing that show, we just never knew. And one of our stalwarts in our NFL production at every level, and now I'm proud to say that she's one of our, and Charlotte's own, SEC Network, et cetera. I know, Steph, you're embarrassed, but Stephanie Drewley's with us, and I knew her when, and now I'm glad you still remember the little people. So Stephanie Drewley was with us at every step of the way on our NFL, and it's nice of her to come out today, even on a crutch or a cane. Thank you, Steph. Couple other highlight of my career. So it might be a question you might ask. How many remember the night that Cal Ripken passed Lou Gehrig for 2,131 games? We saw that. 14 and a half years of packing a lunch. I understand they make more money than a coal miner. I get it. 14 and a half years, though, of packing a lunch and going to work and never calling in sick. And baseball had a strike the year before. This was 95, September 6th. He, in this feat, almost resurrected the sport by itself. It brought out more than just baseball. It brought out more than just sports. It brought out America to me. Going to work and doing your best. And even if you didn't turn out the way you wanted, you came home. And you tried it again tomorrow. And that's what that was. As you saw, we had then President Clinton in the booth. So it's in Baltimore, obviously. And Buck Martinez and I did the game. It's about an hour and a half before the game. I said, Buck, look over there over the left field wall, way up there. See those guys on the scaffolding with the rifles? See them? They have me, okay? Now I want you to look over here against the warehouse in right field and way beyond. See those guys on the scaffolding with the rifles? They have you. So what I'm telling you is, when the president comes in and we drop a pen, do not make a quick move for it, okay? Please. And he was great. Oh, my God. He asked for a nickname. I said, you're president of the United States. I'm not going to just trot one out. We'll talk about it later. I do want to tell a golf story. I can do that, right? I mean, tick, 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 tick. I know, but what the hell? You're here. It's Friday afternoon. Take it off. Tell them I said so. And one of my great golf producers is here, Nate Rosenblatt, who lives down not far out of Charlotte now. And he wasn't at this particular one, but I feel it's still kind of welcoming him to this luncheon and making the trip. Because it was at Pinehurst, and my favorite. I covered 30 U.S. Opens. Doesn't mean I'm a good golfer. Has nothing to do with it. I'm a 14, like everybody else. I used to putt like an 8 and spray it. Now I can hit down the middle and I putt like a 17. It's like, what the hell happened? But at any rate, I digress. Pinehurst, 1999, Payne Stewart, right? And I'm sure we have golf fans here. It was my favorite Open of all of them. The other ones that I covered, I mean, I have a ton, and I don't want to spend a lot of time doing golf stories here, although I have a lot of funny ones. And for whatever reason, Payne was born either the exact year I was or 1 year off, I don't remember, but we'd known each other quite a while, although we weren't great friends, but we were friendly and same age, same life experiences. And I walked with him at his practice round on Tuesday with a couple other fellas, Brad Faxon, I think, Billy Andrade from Rhode Island. I ended up talking to him every day, on the range even, Thursday, Friday. Now let me explain. When you get to the weekend at the U.S. Open, you really don't want to bother these players. When they get to the range, this is their office. They're trying to go for history. So on Saturday, other than walking past someone you know and saying, hey, good luck to you today, Payne, you're out of there. You're not bothering them. And Payne was a really great spirit. And you could walk from the range to the first tee then. I think they've changed it now at Pinehurst. And he wheels around as he's going to the first tee, tee off 10 minutes later. And he goes, hey, Chris. He's done warming up. Yeah, Payne. With a big jack-o'-lantern smile. He goes, have a really good day, okay? And then he goes and he plays. Well, now he's in the final group on Sunday. And even I know his warm-ups for a pro golfer, he was nervous. He was lost at the end of the year before at Olympic. He was tight. And he also was, in 99, he was 44, 45, 43. Not going to come down the pike too many other times. And so he was tight. And when you're the last two, all of a sudden you're like matadors. There's just two of you left. This guy warming up here and this guy warming up there. And he turns to go to the first tee. And I don't know why I did it. It's not what I normally do. But I've been with him every day. And I went, hey, Payne. And he wheels around like there was a gunshot. So I said, oh, God, what did I just do? And I said, have a really nice day, okay? And he stops. He smiles. He goes, you know what? I think I will. And then you golf fans know that he made the 15-foot putt for the par to win on the 18th. And it was one of the great, it held off Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson. It was like the win for the 20th century. It was the last time. It was, the Tiger won by like 8 million strokes the next year, right? So it was like the last time our guys, it was us still. And I thought it represented that. And you fast forward 5 months, and I'm doing halftime of Monday Night Football, and I'm announcing his death in a plane crash. So I don't say that for, and I say it for a few reasons. It's not like you need me to give you a message, but you cherish, geez, if you're having a good day today or a good day the weekend with your family or with your friends or you're doing something different or whatever, remember it because you never know. I mean, 5 months later, is the height of his career gone. So that's not, it's just food for thought. We can talk the NFL season. I already said the Panthers are going to the Super Bowl. So couple other things, Q&A, and a couple things I'll close with. Nicknames, how did they get started? 2:30 in the morning. First year was 80 with baseball. We had very few highlights. All the games weren't on, you know. We'd have Seattle 5, Kansas City 2 on the screen for like 45 seconds. No video, no nothing on a Tuesday night. So you're just going blah, 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 right? George Brett had 2 doubles and et cetera. And at college, we had kind of done these nicknames looking at box scores. You know, on the few nights we weren't in the library, we were drinking Perrier, of course. And so we came up with a couple of these things. And so at like 2:45 one morning in May, not as a plan, one of these two came out. It was either John Mayberry, RFD, or Frank Tanana was a really good pitcher for the Angels. Frank Tanana Daiquiri. They came out. We have this little earpiece called an IFB. And the producer said, what? It wasn't planned. You have to trust me on this. They just came out. And I saw the camera person chuckling, you know, it's my audience. I didn't know who the hell was out there at 2:30 in the morning, so it was okay. Nobody got hurt. It wasn't a curse word. It wasn't anything wrong. And so the next night, I tried a couple more. They were just ones we already had. And the reason I think they worked, it wasn't, 2 reasons. I never tried to become famous by doing them. If you do that, of course, in our profession, and your professions are different, but if you try to do something just to be noticed, and that's above everything else, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We're on every night. Just, if it flows, good. If it's look at me, don't do it. But they kind of worked, and I think most of the nicknames, you didn't have to know that they played baseball. They were a pitcher, who they played for. They're based on fairy tales, a lot on rock and roll, just general TV. For example, my favorite, Bert Blyleven, who's in the Hall of Fame, pitcher. Bert B. Home Blyleven. Every parent said it, every kid's heard it. Somewhere at home, I have a picture of he and I looking at our watches like this. Fred McGriff became the crime dog off of TV. Roberto Alomar, I majored in history at Brown. Roberto, remember the Alomar. This is American history. This isn't Julio Cruz. I'm dating myself with some of these players. Julio, won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Let's see, Jim Deshaies. This is an old song. Jim, 2 silhouettes on Deshaies. He was a pitcher. So these were, and then we expanded to football. Like Andre Rison, great receiver, sweetheart. But if there was a bottle flying somewhere, it would hit him. It's just the way it worked. Andre Bad Moon Rison. It just fit. He tattooed Bad Moon on his arm. There's no way he knew who Creedence Clearwater Revival was. There's no way. Eric Bieniemy, he's the offensive coordinator for Andy Reid with the Chiefs. Eric is sleeping with Bieniemy, right? He goes, I love it. My wife's not a fan. Mike Allstott, fullback, Bucks. You're in good hands with Allstott, right? Steve Bono, I got you, babe, Bono. Especially when you could sing it on a longer highlight. He'd go back to pass, and we go, do, 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 do. And he completed, I got you, babe. Curtis, my favorite Martin. And then this one, a little quote off color, but and not a very famous player, fullback, Steelers primarily. Chris Fuamatu Mafala, his nickname was Chris Fuamatu Bad Mafala. Or singing ones like Jake, Daylight Come and You Got to Tell 'Em, you know. I know Harry Belafonte is dating myself, or if there's a few, my Jewish friends used to call him Harvey Belafonte, but that was wishful thinking. But we could go on and on. Like Warren Moon, we would sing. I'm being followed by moon shadow. I mean, you didn't come to hear me sing. So the stuff of Back, which was home runs, or Could Go All the Way, which is kind of an ode to Howard Cosell. The Raiders, that's an ode to Al Davis. I was kind of imitating Al. It's one of these. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, it's descriptive. The whoop, which seems I get stopped every 10 seconds with that. The younger generation loves that. You know what it is? It's the Three Stooges. Or really, it was an ode to Barry Sanders, because he could turn on those ankles 180 degrees. I think he was bionic. And when he turned, whoop, I mean, that Josh Allen leaping over the Chief the other day. Whoop! I mean, you just do it, and it's a sound, but you don't have, it's not an inside joke. Like, it's okay. Circle the Wagons with the Buffalo Bills. You saw those guys. The point is, it's sports, it's not brain surgery. Now, that doesn't mean you do slapstick comedy. You report the news first, then you can deviate to the way you are. Bob Lee is a different person than me. Bob Lee was one of our greatest. He was newsman-ish, and I'm not saying that as that's Bob. I'm a little more tongue-in-cheek, as you know. So I think once you get the facts and you don't deviate from that, then you can deliver them in a way that is comfortable for you. And if you find out it's not comfortable for the viewers, do it some other way. So I got a couple things to leave you with on the way out. I think one is the message, and a couple are funny, I hope. Q&A a little bit. I know we probably ran a little longer, and I'm not maybe being able to see. Do we have a mic for questions, answers? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Well, there's 3 teams that have separated themselves. I'm answering my question that you didn't ask. Philadelphia, Kansas City and Buffalo. Buffalo and Kansas City, the best 2 teams in football, with Philadelphia close behind. Who number 4 is, I have no idea. Do you? Every year, you see the playoff teams. There were what last year, 14? Philadelphia got in, was an embarrassment in their game against Tampa Bay. They were awful. You look at this list, though, of 14 teams. How are 10 or 11 of these not going to make it? And half of them change every year. You know, the minute we think we know something about football, we know nothing at all. Nothing. Even Bill Belichick told me, 15 years ago, Boomer, first until we play and other teams play 4 or 5 games, anyone that thinks they know what they have, let alone what that team is kidding themselves. So, it's a guy that's about to pass George Halas for second most wins of all time on Monday night. I mean, you got to be kidding me, right? It's quite a feat. So, I don't know how you want to do this, or if there are any. If there aren't any, I'll proceed, and I'm trying to keep you out of work this afternoon. So there's a mic. That's a start. Thank you.
You might be able to hear me. Seen more games than any of us could even imagine.
There you go.
All right, it's on now.
We have to learn that too, you know?
Yeah. Thanks. You've seen more games than any of us can imagine. Pro football, baseball, college football. Where for you is the best place, or your favorite place to catch a game?
I'm sorry, the best player?
Yeah, your favorite venue to catch a game.
I wore my IFB too many years.
That's all right. Where is your favorite place to catch a game?
Favorite place to catch a game? See, neither of us need a mic. There's not a needle I haven't pinned in our business. Well, football I go to less than you think, because I'm in the studio on Sunday. People go, I went to Arrowhead for the first time ever. Really? Well, it's a Thursday night. I work every Sunday. So, in the old days, football, a couple of rickety stadiums, Where haven't I been that I'd like to see a game? Well, that LA stadium in the Super Bowl last year was holy moly. Of course, for $5 billion, you ought to not screw it up. That's a bad screw up if you do that. But I don't know that all the newfangled is the best. Mile High Stadium was pretty cool, the original one. Again, old, but I'm forgetting the obvious. Lambeau Field. I've only been once. Again. So why don't I go with Lambeau Field? I haven't been in a long time. But I'm going to go before Election Day. It gets a little cold, okay? Anywhere.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, at the moment.
Thanks so much, Boom. The stories have been awesome. I'm not going to talk you. Thanks so much. I've enjoyed the stories. Got either or proposition, either your favorite ESPN commercial or your favorite Stuart Scott story. Go Heels.
My favorite Stuart Scott story. What was the first part?
Either that or your favorite ESPN commercial.
Oh, ESPN commercial. Charlie Steiner. I mean, say no more, right? I mean, Charlie was classic, and several of them, like The End of the World or that one. I mean, the football ones, we never got it right, really. I don't know why, but we're funny guys. But Charlie Steiner, how about what's yours? I love the ponytail for Clayton. Right. I mean, those ad campaigns have been brilliant. Stuart, North Carolina. We miss him. We miss John Saunders. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Stuart was one of the most courageous battlers of cancer, though there's a long list of those. And he did primetime with us some in the beginning of his kind of ascension, if you will. And the only thing I said to him was, Stu, just be you. But remember, this is a 3-generation show, primetime, not so much at 2, a little different than Sports Center. Not that anybody 80 years old doesn't want to watch Sports Center get the scores. I get it.
Hey, Chris?
And he got it. Yep, you want me to finish?
No, I've got a question of
I didn't realize I was done. At any rate, we miss Stuart to this day. I didn't mean to cut him off. Where were we? He had unbelievable contributions to ESPN, and we miss him to this day. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Of all the people you've met in sports, there's got to be a number one favorite. Who's the favorite, most fun person you've ever met in all of sports?
The most, well, some are my heroes, you know.
So who's your favorite hero then?
It's a different answer, but my two heroes growing up were Willie Mays and Joe Namath, okay? And the fact that I've gotten to know them each, even Willie, he was 91 on May 6th, I called him for his birthday. Doesn't make me anything great, but I'm talking to Willie Mays, happy birthday, you know? And Joe Namath, because he still has that joie de vivre. I wish I was able to party with him. He's a little older than me. Back in the day, you know, I was still in junior high and high school when he was playing for the Jets. He didn't invite me out. But those are two. I'll tell you, and I'm going to go back. It sounds like there's nobody. Jim Kelly is a very special person for me. Epitomized the Buffalo Bills. They may at long last win the Super Bowl, which nobody, if they're playing your team, you can root against them, but nobody should be upset if the Bills win the Super Bowl. It's Buffalo, right? Like, nobody should root against them because, I don't like them. No. Those people are the best. Jim Kelly, because he represented those Bills. I was very close with them. I was in my 30s. They were in their 20s. And it was a very special time. I remember after one game, Monday night, so I would go to some of those. They beat, I think, Denver. And Jim came out on the field, and we did a live shot. And what he did after every home game was had a party at his house for wives, families, girlfriends, whoever. everybody come over after every home game, win or lose. And so this is a Monday night. I didn't really know about this. Sundays I'm not in Buffalo. By his third question, he answers, he goes, by the way, Bermanator, which he called me, or Swami, one of the two. He goes, you coming over to the house for a few beers with the fellas after the game? This is like midnight. I said, well, Jim, you just asked me on national television. Yes. Jim is very special. Baseball, George Brett. Great player, better guy. I mean, there's a long list. I'm going to say something because he's in the news for negative and it doesn't sound good, but I just want to say in my interviewing career, my favorite interviews were really Brett Favre, way up there. I understand what may or may not be going on now, so I won't go on, but he gave me the best answer I ever got in 43 years. I went through all of his achievements. Brett, you've won more games than anybody else. What does it mean to you? You know, I'm running through the list. You completed more passes than anybody's been, or thrown for more yards, etc. Certainly have the Ironman streak for quarter at 310 straight games, whatever. What does it mean to you? I was setting him up. About the eighth question, I went, Brett, by far and away, you've thrown the most interceptions of anybody in the history of pro football. What does that mean to you? He didn't know it was coming. He looks. He has a twinkle. About 8 seconds later, well, means I was trying. Brilliant. I understand Brett Favre in the news is not the best. I'm just telling you what I know from my years. One or two more?
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm over here.
Where are you? Wave.
You probably don't remember
Oh, way
me.
back there. Way
Yeah,
back over there.
You probably don't remember me. I was the chef at South Seas Resort in Captiva Island.
Oh, and we feel, oh my God, we feel for those.
Well, thank you.
Pictures
Thank
don't do it justice.
Thank you.
I just know it. Think for those people, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
the
people that have lost everything they own at Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel, and it's just, I know a lot of those people. It's heartbreaking. Go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that.
Thank you. Before I left, I know Alice Cooper was the best golfer on the island. Did you ever play him or beat him in golf?
I didn't play much golf down there. My late wife and I, Kathy, we lost her about 5 years ago. When I went down there with her, we played a little 9-hole because she could do it, and that's kind of all I did down there. It was a different deal, so the answer is no. They would have taken all my money anyway, so what was the point? Nice to see you through the lights. One more, maybe? That's all right, I've outlived everybody. Okay. So, thank you for those. This I didn't realize when I started my career, and realized it about halfway through. That sports is one of the last melting pots, and certainly in the way we are now as a society, we are not together the way we should be. I don't think, it's not a political statement, I speak the truth for whatever you believe, and not a side at all. We need to be better, but that's not my point. My point is that in my career, I have realized that sports is the last melting pot that we have, and by that I mean, whether you're white or black or yellow or pick a color, whether you're male or female, whether you're old or young, whether you're rich or poor, and I could go on and on with all the socioeconomic dividers that we have. You can have an equal conversation with anybody, a stranger, about the game last night. Case in point, a millionaire or somebody shining their shoes, my shoes in the airport. Let's say it's 2015. Let's make it happy times for the Panthers, all right? Let's say I'm in Charlotte and I'm changing planes, and the fellow shining shoes knows more about the Panthers than like anybody else. I learned this, and I used to do baseball every week, mostly in the 90s. I got in a cab at Cleveland. The airport's actually a good ride from downtown. You wouldn't think so in Cleveland, but it is, 35, whatever. And there was an old black fella probably later 70s. And we'd get in the night before, and the Indians game was on in the 4th inning or the 5th inning, and I was doing the game the next night, Indians, Mariners or somebody. And I went, I made small talk right away, like, oh, you listen to Big Indians fan? I don't miss any inning. I'm driving every night, and I listen to every inning. He then proceeded to, as our ride went on, get me more prepared for my broadcast of the Cleveland Indians, because who will know more? I can read all I want. He's listening to every game. It's important to him. And I did half of my book work the next morning because I felt I was prepared. It was a revelation. It's kind of like America, like we all came to, not all of us, but Ellis Island, and then whatever, and from points beyond. And we're all one. But sports is one of the last things that you can talk to a stranger and go 10 minutes. It's not a problem. It's a really good thing. That's kind of one of the, I hope you agree with me. That's one of the things that I've gleaned from my career. All right, 2 more stories. One I didn't think of till last night because it involves kind of indirectly the expansion draft that Carolina and Jacksonville, who would ever remember the friggin' expansion draft, it must have been in February of '95, and they were drafting before the real draft. Each team could protect like 30 players, and so you were drafting a long snapper and maybe a kicker or whatever. And I did it with Bill Walsh. And so, Carolina had to pick and Jacksonville had to pick. I think Carolina picked Berline. I don't really remember. Jacksonville, I don't even remember anymore. No, Carolina picked Harry Boatswain. Nobody remembers him, but he was tackled from the University of New Haven. The Chargers. At any rate, did about 20 picks. And there's Bill Walsh with me, right? This is Bill Walsh. He taught me a lot of football. And it's at the Marriott Marquis, and it's the expansion draft. We got about 20, 22 picks done. I got to go to the bathroom, which is no problem. People aren't hanging on the edge of their chair for this, right? But we were on. And I go out, and the bathroom is down the hall to the left. And we made my way back, and there's an elderly couple in there. I thought elderly then, in their 70s, probably young 70s. I'm 67. I look at it differently now. But smiling, round face. They both, are you Chris Berman? I said, yes, I am. What is your name? Well, my name is Alan, and this is my wife, and I forget her name at the moment, Alan B. And I said, well, where are you guys from? Well, Houston, Texas. What are you in town for? It's February. What are you doing here in New York in February? Why? Well, we have a dog in the Westminster Dog Show. It's such and such, and it won its preliminary, blah, 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 blah. And we've never done that before, and we thought we would do this. And we talked for like 2 minutes, but, I got a live TV show I got to get back on the air for. And they couldn't have been nicer. And I said, well, listen, good luck. I'll be following it. I actually did look up the next day to see how it did. And then I don't know, my mind wasn't as cluttered in 1995 as it is now. And I looked at him for a minute, and I went, you said you're from Houston. Alan B., yes, nice to meet both of you. Do you mind if I ask you a question? He goes, sure. Did you walk on the moon? I did. One of 12 people to walk on the moon. Well, I didn't go back to do the show for about 10 more minutes. I'm talking to one of the 12 people that walked on the moon, okay? My point is, you never know what's going to come around the corner, okay? He gave me his card. He's the one with the helmet that the earth was in the plexiglass, or whatever they had on the face mask in the background. That's him. And he passed 4 or 5 years ago. I tried to keep in touch a little bit. The 12 people walked on the moon, okay? I went to the bathroom. I met one. Why I even knew Alan Bean, Houston. I don't know why. Pretty cool. I thought of it last night, like, yeah, it was the expansion draft. All right, last one. So you asked the people that I interviewed, and I've interviewed a lot, and it doesn't make me great or anything at all. It means I was in the right place at the right time, and ESPN, we're doing sports for sports fans, and et cetera. Before he passed away, and he's certainly in the news this week because Bill Belichick is he's tied with George Halas for 324 lifetime wins, which is ridiculous. Second most of all time behind Don Shula. And I interviewed George Halas in about 81. And we talked about a few things. It wasn't a long interview, but he was still pretty sharp. And I said to Mr. Halas, who was the greatest running back that you ever saw? He thought about it for a few seconds. He went, that would be Red Grange. I went, really? Red Grange, the galloping ghost, huh? Like it's a long time ago. He goes, I know. He said, well, now I have a decision to make. You know, I'm 20-something years old. This is George Halas, one of the founding fathers of the NFL. I'm not certainly questioning anything you're going to tell me. But I said, geez, okay. I said, Mr. Halas, so if he was playing today, how many yards do you think he'd gain in a season? And he said, oh, I don't know. Maybe 750 or 800 yards. And now I had to say, well, you know, Mr. Halas, Jim Brown, Walter Payton is with you now, and he's gained whatever 1,600 or 1,800 in a year, and Jim Brown has gained 1,800 in a year, and OJ, with running in Bruno Mali's gained 2,000 yards, and I can't believe I did this. 800 yards is really good, but it's not great. I wasn't trying to challenge him, but it was. He sits up in his chair and he goes, son, you must remember one thing. Red Grange is 75 years old. So here's the Papa Bear pulling my chain. And that's what sports is. You've been I know what great things you do for youth sports in the area and how important they are and how important these young men and women are. And the lessons we learn in sports are really unlike anything else, whether we're a fan or certainly a player or a coach. So for those that participate and for those where the money goes here, thanks for having me. Mike Gottfried, it was after me for a long time to come here, and I'm glad I did. So thank you very much. It's great to be with you. Went a little long, but fucking still. Here's what you sit on and do. Take it out of leather. You do whatever you want. Take it out of leather. You can tell them that.
Chris Berman, everyone. He's got notes for all of your employers that you can take back to let them know you're late for school. Bronco Nagurski Awards here on December the 5th. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend.